All right, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about functions and how we can tell if certain things are functions. So first off, I want to look at graphs. So we have nothing but graphs that we're going to focus on and how to tell if a graph is a function. Now, luckily for us, there's a really easy way to do this, and this is with the vertical line test. Because for a function to be a function, it can't have any x values. It can't have one x value that has multiple y values. Now you can have y values that repeat x's, right, which would give you a horizontal line, but you can't have that one x value that has multiple y's, because what that's saying is that one independent variable is giving you multiple answers, right? You can't have one equation that has exactly one answer, right? Inequality is a different story, but one equation that has multiple answers. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the vertical line test. And this tests for that. What it does is it shows us if any x's have y values that repeat. So if I'm looking at this first one, I can move my vertical line across, and I can see it never has any places where it's touching the line twice. So that's a function. If we check it on, if we check it on my next one, I come over here and I look, and again, I have no places that repeat. So again, that would be a function. If I'm looking down here, well, I have points, but still I can check, and I never have a place that repeats. So that's going to be a function. But let's look at this last graph. Well, notice here it is an actual vertical line, and see what happens when I have that. Bam, I touch at two places at the same time, actually multiple places at the same time. So this would not be a function. Now, some other graphs, I'm going to use this this section down here, this last one with my verticals, to kind of show what some other examples could be. Well, if it'll let me here. Let's kind of go here. There we go. I'm going to use some other examples. So let's see, what if I had, let me zoom in so we can see this a little bit. What if I had a parabola that went sideways like this? Would that be a function? Well, again, we test it with our vertical line test. I'm going to come in, and right off the bat, I can see that it hits in multiple places, right? It's hitting right there and right there. What that tells me is that one x value has multiple y values. Big no-no. For our functions. That can't happen. Okay. Another situation that I can test out here is a horizontal line. So what if I have a line that goes across my graph like this? Would that be a function? Now it's a straight line. Again, we test it with the vertical line test. I come through and I can roll through that whole blue horizontal line, and it never touches more than once. So that actually is a function. Like I said earlier, your y values can have multiple x's, but that x, so what that means is your answer can have different processes and different variables that will get that answer. So you can have multiple problems. Think about it like this. You can have multiple problems that get you the same answer, right? But you can't have one problem that gets you a bunch of different answers. That's what makes it not a functional relationship. So there's kind of our basic rundown on looking at functions when we're looking at graphs. Alright, so we've looked at functions on graphs, but now we need to look at them in tables. Now, the important thing, like I said earlier, to remember about it is every x has one y. That's the biggest part and the most important part when it comes to determining if it's a function. Every x has one, or maybe I look more like one, has one y value. But y's can have multiple x's. So if we're looking at our table, key things that you want to look for is x values that repeat, y values that repeat, because that's kind of going to let you know what's going on. So if I'm looking at my first table and starting right here, now I have two different things. I have a kind of mapping, which is what we see on the left side over here. That's a map, and then on the right side I have the table that kind of corresponds to it. The way I kind of always looked at it and thought about it is my X values are like radio preset stations in your car, and the Y is the station that it goes to. So what I mean by that is if I hit the first preset button, it takes me to station number 6. If I hit the second preset button, it takes me to station 5. The third preset button, it takes me to station 4. So when I'm looking at that, I'm asking myself, would that radio station, would that car radio preset system work? Yeah, because every preset goes to one station. That's okay. So this is a function. I can also notice it over here in my table because I have no x values that repeat. That is the big thing you got to look for when you're looking at a table. Do I have x values that repeat? So my first set, this is a function. Now let's go ahead and let's look at the table right underneath it. Let's set up this map. Now, looking at this one, if I'm looking here, I'm saying, all right, here we go. I have, again, kind of using my same analogy with the radio presets. Here's my preset, here are my stations. Now here, if I press the 5 preset button, all of a sudden, wait a second, I run into a problem. Because can I press one preset and it take me to 3 different stations at the same time? That doesn't work, right? That's not how a car works. So that's not functioning properly. Because of that, this is not a function. And I can see it over here in my table as well. My x values, notice, they repeat. That's the biggest thing. What that tells me is I have one x value that has multiple y values. So this second one we're looking at would not be a function. Taking a look at some more examples, let's hop right over here to this one because we kind of see it happening the opposite way. Thinking back to my car radio, my preset station buttons and the actual stations. Well, here I hit the 9 button and it takes me to the station -4. I hit the 4 button and it takes me to the station -4. I hit the 1 button and it takes me to the station -4. Now, is that possible to have in a car? Yeah, if you wanted to, you could have all your presets go to the exact same station. You wouldn't have a lot of variety, but it's working okay. So this is checking out to be a function. And notice over here when we come to our table, my y values repeat. That's okay. Y values can repeat because that's still a functioning relationship, thinking back to my car presets to kind of make that sense. But my x values never repeat, which lets me know that this is a proper function. Okay, last example we're going to look at here. Kind of have a mix and match of all kinds of stuff, right? So we have our radio presets. I go from -4 to 4, -3 takes me to 1, -2 takes me to 0, -1 also takes me to 1. So, do I have any x values? Do I have any station buttons that are taking me to more than one station at the same time? No. Now I have 2 different buttons, -3 and -1, that are both taking me to the same station, but remember, that's okay. That radio is still going to work. Coming over to the table, and again, our big check is, do my x values repeat? No x values repeat. Now I do have those repeating y values, but again, that's okay. So this is a function. So, big things to take away. On a table, my x values cannot repeat on a table. So I'm going to write that up here in the corner because that's kind of big important. X's don't repeat. I don't have the same one. Whoa, if I can spell it. Here we go. Repeat. I can't have the same number in the x column multiple times, but my y values I can. So that's our basics rundown of looking at tables and maps to kind of see if it's a function or not.